What's up, everyone? Welcome to my kitchen where I want to help you to love food more. I'm Joshua Wobolt, and today I am going to make for you a sandwich that I have never made before, but it is going to be a taste of my childhood. It is a curry nampong sandwich made in the style of a bun. So let's get to it. I'm making this sandwich because my mom is in town and I wanted to make a dish that is reminiscent of my childhood, but also something that I've never had before. So we're gonna take the flavors of my youth and put it into a sandwich. Just delicious chicken curry gravy with some pickled vegetables and some fresh vegetables on a crispy baguette. I am so excited to make this for you today. All right, here's my mise en place board. I'm just gonna go over my ingredients in this pot already. This is a blend of different pastes. For this Cambodian curry, we're using red curry and also the most popular paste, which is called krung. This is a super aromatic Cambodian marinade made of lemongrass, galangal, garlic shots. I have a recipe for that later, but we all keep this in our freezers, so I'm gonna have that ready to go. We got some truk. This is some pickled carrots and daikon, already made in advance because it's something that you just keep on deck. Here we have coconut milk, which is gonna be used in our recipe today. So I'm just gonna get everything open up here. This is called mise en place, right? This is chef's mise en place. Everything in its place because it makes cooking just a lot easier, a lot faster, right? A lot more organized. So all I'm gonna do here is take my tray and I'm gonna start to cut up some vegetables. All right, let me move this back over here. First, an onion. I'm just gonna take the root off and I'm gonna split in half. Today I'll be using half a yellow onion for my recipe. I just give it a little peel. Some onions are really easy to peel and some of them just are really stubborn. All right, here we go. When I cut an onion, I like to, see this right here, this little basil plate, this little root end. I just like to cut a little triangle, get rid of that guy, and then now I can utilize the entire onion without having to worry about eating the root of the onion. I'm gonna cut it into a nice little small dice. I like to follow this half moon shape. And then I'm just gonna come through, cut in half, not all the way through, and then just work my way down. Now see, I'm getting nice, even pieces. And then when I get to this end piece here, what I like to do is just lay it down flat, cut it down into strips, turn it sideways again, and then cut them into this dice shape. We like to cut everything around the same size. The reason for that is because then everything will cook at the same time that we get consistency, and that is the name of the game when we're cooking, right? That's why you like to go to these chain restaurants a lot, because it's consistency. It's the same everywhere you go, right? This is gonna help our vegetables cook at the same time to make sure we don't get like some overcooked onions and some undercooked onions. All right, so this is my little electric burner top. Beautiful, yes. Into a rondeau saute pan, I'm going to heat it up over high heat. And then I'm going to actually roast the chicken in here. So we have some chicken thigh. I like to use chicken thigh. It's a little more fattier, a little more juicy, and that's what I like in a nice curry. And then once the pan gets hot, we're gonna add oil and just give it a nice little roast. While the pan is heating up, I'm gonna start cutting some veggies. This is a cucumber. Yes, it's a little baby cucumber. I'm just gonna cut it into nice little rounds. Again, you know, this is gonna be, I'm thinking this is gonna be in a sandwich. So what I don't want to happen is I bite into it and it all slides out. So I'm thinking one little bite. I'm thinking one little bite with a little cucumber here. Should be no problem. It fits in the mouth really nicely. All right, let's go. We're cutting the cucumber. Notice I have these little containers here. These are just delis that you can get for soups or containers. I just buy a bunch of them and we use them for everything. We use for measuring, we eat cereal out of it. They're great to have around. And you wash them and reuse them. It's not like you throw it away. Classically, in a banh mi sandwich, we just have whole sliced jalapenos, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're just gonna have sliced whole jalapenos. But since it is a curry sandwich, I want to slice it really thin so we're not getting too many spicy bites. So notice how I'm just gonna slice very thin. And that's it. And if you don't want to use a knife and you want to use a tool. This is called the mandolin. This helps get really nice even slices. It is kind of intimidating to some people, but you know, it works really well. I will say when you're cutting a pepper, it's kind of tricky because like when you push on it, there's this little like, it gives a little bit, but you know, nothing's perfect, right? Except for these slices. Look at that. Oh, actually, yeah, they're good. They're the same size. That's pretty. So, as you see, I'm pretty good at knives, so I can mimic the mandolin, no problem. So as you see, I'm just getting all these vegetable garnishes ready because the idea is, like we talked about mise en place earlier, what we want to do is be able to have everything ready so we can just build a sandwich. Like we have a little deli station. Imagine you're working at like a sandwich shop and you got like 10 sandwiches coming at a time. You don't want to like cut cucumber and then build a sandwich and put a sandwich, cut a jalapeno, then put a sandwich. You want to have everything cut, everything ready, and you build one at a time, two at a time, three at a time, five at a time, whatever you want. These are green onions. These are very tasty. They're also called scallions. I don't know why. And then like just out of force of habit, we always like to trim off the top, use this for something else, or just throw it away, compost it. And then we start off nice and clean and even here. So now we can just get some nice even slices. Now the trick with this is just having a nice sharp knife, right? If you have a dull knife, you're gonna notice that your scallions turn dark green. And that's actually you bruising the green, and then what happens at that point, it's just all that flavor comes out, you know? It's gonna be like bruised and sad versus nice clean cut, you know? We wanna keep our scallions happy so they taste better. Now there's probably some people out there like, man, look at all those containers, you gotta do all these dishes, or like, cool, you have people that do dishes for you. No, I do all my own dishes, guys. And second of all, you could do, alternatively, what I like to do is have like a tray, and I like to put all my garnishes in the tray, so it's just one dish, and then everything's lined up together. And that way I'm like, all right, I'm making sandwiches. Grab the whole tray, build sandwiches, right? This is cilantro. Cilantro, or coriander, culantro, they're all similar. These are very delicious flavored. Some people don't like them. They think it tastes like soap. And then I'm like, why are you eating soap? What we're gonna do is we're gonna pick the leaf. We're gonna use the whole stem too, because there's nothing wrong with using the stem. You know, those classy like fancy restaurants, they'll pick like just the leaf, but they need to eat the stems too, because there's a lot of flavor in the stems. A lot of Asian cooking, you know, we eat a lot of vegetables, including stems. We eat a lot of leaves. The stem, I do believe it adds like a nice texture in a lot of the recipes we'll be cooking with. And you know, I think it's a beautiful thing to do. And like even in like if you think of like a tacos, right? They're chopping this whole thing up. You chop up all the stems in there, then you get a nice mix of like fresh and like leafy and some crunchy. That's all good. But today, in today's case, we're just gonna pick the entire leaf and some stems here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Set this aside. This is a lime. We're gonna cut some limes. This is just to add some acidity, so that's why I have it ready. You actually don't even need to cut off these end pieces. It's just like a force of habit. What I like to do when I cut limes, this is great for juicing, yeah, but I like to take it one step farther is take off this little core here. And that's gonna maximize my juicage on these limes. There you go. And I'm gonna set this aside for when I'm ready to juice. All right, here we have a hot pan, yes, and then we have a bucket of our chicken. This is chicken thighs that I just diced into like bite-sized pieces. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna line the bottom of the pan with some oil. This is just a very neutral like vegetable oil. Just enough to coat the bottom. I always like to heat up the pan first before I add the oil. That's just what I like to do. We don't want to add the chicken to a cold pan because then we're not going to get a nice caramelization. I'm going to put on my black gloves because, you know, this is for social media. You got to wear black gloves if you're a social media chef. Black gloves when you're playing with your meat. Let's go. All right. So this pan is hot. Of course, you can test it by throwing a little water in it or whatever, but that's a little dangerous. So I'm just going to touch it with my bare fingers. Just kidding. All right, we should hear a nice sizzle. You hear that? That's a nice sizzle. I'm just not gonna talk and just listen to this. That's for the mic. All right, so we're just gonna let this sear. A tricky part when you're searing chicken, or searing any protein really, is to just let it sit and not touch it. A lot of people like to just shake the pan right away. You're not doing anything, you're not doing the flavor any favors. You're not doing the flavor any favors by shaking it up right away. So we're gonna let it sit and start to caramelize and brown. This is called Maillard reaction. This is when the proteins start to caramelize and get that extra roasted, deep umami flavor. All right, so we're cooking this chicken. You let it render for a little bit. You hear those nice sounds. In this case, actually, I don't want to caramelize it too much. I know I was talking about Maillard reaction, but I want to keep the pieces nice and tender, but still developing that flavor. I'm just gonna give it a little stir to break off the bottom of the pan. And all those sticky bits are fine. We're gonna hit them with a deglaze, that's what they call it. Deglazing is when we like take off all that flavor in the bottom of the pan and break it loose. So at this point right now, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna add our onions here. The onions are great. They're gonna add a little bit of this like sweetness, and then they're going to almost like absorb all that excess oil that's on the chicken. And for me, I love onions. I love the flavor of onions. Like, I don't know if you ever watched like holes with like Stanley Yelnats, where they like climb the mountain and eat onions. Yeah, man. That was like me as a kid. I would just eat onions like that, and everyone thought I was a weirdo. And we're just gonna let this continue to cook until the onions get translucent and tender. And that's the beautiful thing about a stew. It's like it's a one-pot method. You could cook this in a crock pot. You could cook this in an instant pot. Just one pan. One pan, you're good to go. So at this point, we want the pan to get hot. I said I have these two curry pastes here. One was the Cambodian one is the red curry paste. One is the kruang, one is the red curry paste. And I'm just gonna add it all into here and let it coat everything evenly. This is gonna braise for a little bit. So the onions, I don't want them to like dissolve completely. I want them to have still a little body, but not a bite to it. So I'm just gonna add all this paste inside. You can make your own red curry paste, or you can go out and buy one. We're just gonna give us a nice little stir, make sure it's nice and coated. And you see this like yellowing color take place, that's that turmeric in the kruang. And I can tell you, if you can smell these smells, yo, like this is like insane. Like, wow, I love this smell. All right, and see how like everything on the bottom is like breaking off? That's called deglazing. That's gonna be the flavor bomb. A lot of the French technique, they call it the fond, or like the foundation of their sauces. And that's gonna help us be basically the foundation of this curry paste. A lot of the flavors there. Beautiful. Now we have, these are kaffir lime leaves. You know, my mom used to grow them on the backyard. I don't have the pleasure of growing them in my backyard because everything I grow dies. I just bought these, and we usually buy a bunch in advance because we always have them, and we're just gonna we freeze them. You know, they hold really well in the freezer, and I'm just gonna like crush them a little bit and then throw them in and get them nice and stewy. Like, oh man, when you can smell it. It smells like, how do you explain the smell of a kaffir lime? It smells like, anyone want to help me on that?
Zesty.
Zesty, fresh. It smells very floral, very delicious and effervescent. It smells like an Asian dude's house. It smells like something you'd want to eat. All right, that's great. Moving on. So this is coconut milk. This is 2 cans of coconut milk, and we're just gonna add it in here. I might, yeah, baby.
That smells like home, chef.
This smells like whose home? All right, beautiful. So now this is just gonna render down, stew down, and just look at those colors. Like this is a mosaic in itself. This is art, right? This is beautiful. You see those little oils separating, which is like a good thing in curries. And that color, it's like nice yellow, little hints of orange and red. It's a beautiful thing. And now, y'all, I'm just gonna let this simmer for about 30 minutes until it's nice and a little bit thicker and the chicken's nice and fully cooked. All right, so here we're gonna cut our bread. This is a serrated knife. It has teeth on it. This is what you wanna use for cutting bread because we don't wanna smush our bread. So notice when I'm cutting it, I'm not pushing on the bread, I'm just using a saw motion. Think of it like when you're cutting down a tree in your backyard. I'm sure you guys do that all the time. So I'm just cutting, sawing down. I'm not applying pressure because I want the body of the bread to stay nice and airy. Now I'm cutting this first, and then I'm gonna toast it, and then we're gonna build the sandwich. So traditionally, like Cambodian curry, we call it curry nampong, is like we have the bread and we just cut it, and then we put it on the table and we dip it in the curry, and it's so good. It's like this beautiful like curry gravy. It's like, that's my childhood dish, right? So I figured bread, curry, just make a sandwich, yo, and carry that thing around and eat it. So that's why we're making this today. So I'm just gonna toast this until it's nice and a little crunchy, and then we're gonna start to build our sandwiches. I don't need to know the temperature of the bread, so I'm just gonna slide it in here. Choo, 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 choo.
Chef, question.
Yes.
So,
You like that?
Was Cambodia like affected by the bread from Vietnam?
It's actually affected by the French. So, you know, French colonized in Vietnam and in Cambodia. So the bread, the baguette, came over, and that's why we have the nampong, or the bread. So this is why I love food. I know food travels. It tells stories, right? Like, why are these things here? And we think of where the food is in America. It's a lot of just a cross between people who moved, you know? The diaspora of certain people going somewhere else, bringing what they have with them to another place, just wanting to remember home, but also know where they are. So that's why I love food, because it just tells so many stories, and this is what this dish does to me. You know, I've grown a love for sandwiches over the time, and I can still get a piece of my childhood in every single bite. And, you know, it's just a perfect vessel. When you're on the move, it's just like a sandwich. One hand, two hands, whatever. Just eat it and go. Almost ready to go. Smells so good, but it's gonna smell a little bit better in a little bit. We're just gonna give it a nice little stir. And you see that? You can put this in a bowl, eat it with some rice ready, and you're having a good time. I like to add a little bit of fish sauce in it. Fish sauce is okay, everybody? Everyone likes fish sauce? It's not everybody's favorite ingredient to smell, I will say that, but it adds delicious umami. And then I like to add a little bit of acidity. That's where the lime juice is gonna come into play. Freshly squeezed lime juice is the game. It has such a different flavor than using like those bottled lime juices. Like, nothing's wrong with them. Sure, it's easy, it's convenient, but when you have a freshly squeezed lime juice, it's just a little more love, a little more freshness in there. If the lime is ripe. You know, sometimes you have like really crappy limes, and that's not good either. Now, I'm going to add a little bit of this, guys. This is some MSG. Like, you don't need a lot. It's just a little bit. It's just like, you gotta have it, man. I'm gonna come over here. This is my sugar. I like to add a little sweetness. If you go to like a lot of like Thai restaurants in the States, they're usually pretty sweet. I do like it pretty sweet, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm not gonna add too much sugar in here because I don't want it to be too sweet. I want it to be a nice balance. We're looking for that nice balance of like spicy, sweet, savory, sour, texture. That's all important in this right here. God, this is like a commercial. I could just stir this for hours and look at it and fall in love. Beautiful. Now, what a lot of chefs, a lot of cooks, they make a mistake of is they don't try their own cooking. Or when they try it, it's like too late. You have to try it throughout the process and learn how food changes over time. As you see right now, if I continue to cook this and this gravy reduces, it's gonna concentrate the flavor, it's gonna concentrate the salinity, and it's gonna cook out the acidity. So that's all gonna be effective from the time that you cook it to the time it goes to your patron's mouth. So I'm just gonna get some of this gravy in here. And I'm just like, God damn, that's pretty perfect. That's pretty good. You can taste that savory buildup from like allowing the chicken to caramelize a little bit, that beautiful like unctuous flavor from like the gravy coating my mouth. The acidity is not too sour where it makes me pucker, but it's like there's a nice sense of brightness in there. I'm ready to go. Let's take a nap, y'all. Let's go. Let's build this. All right, gloves are coming on again. For ready to eat food, typically people like to see people using gloves. I'm like on edge with that because I've done sushi for so many years, and like no one really cares about that in the sushi world. Oh wow, look at that steam. The smell of fresh baked bread, like not even like freshly baked, but like fresh baked bread, is so good. So listen to that, nice little crunch. And look at this bread in here, see how it's nice and like really airy? That is beautiful bread. So I'm just gonna add this chicken. I just want the chicken, the gravy can come along for the ride. And just like, look at this. I can like feel the sexual tension between me and this sandwich. It's like, this is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. food-wise, that is. Put a little sauce in there. And then I'm gonna put some toppings on. This is our tribute to like the banh mi sandwich, or we're gonna put these pickled carrots and daikon on top. Just a little bit to add some acidity. And then the scallions are just nice. I just like to have scallions. It just like reminds me of the whole dish. Cucumbers, I say again, are optional because it is a curry dish. It's like weird to add cucumbers in there, but I do think that a nice bit of freshness will add that little tribute to the banh mi sandwich. And then our slicey thin jalapenos. Now what I would love to do is like make a huge batch of this, separate all the chicken, leave the gravy on the side, serve the sandwich, and then like dip the sandwich with the gravy. Tell me that wouldn't be magical.
Like a Cambodian Reuben?
Like a Cambodian, like French dip, Reuben type thing. Yeah, with the pickles in there, yeah, pretty much. This is my Cambodian style sandwich. We're gonna put the cilantro on top. I love cilantro. Like you said, if you don't like it a lot, don't put too much in there. But the smells here are pretty insane. And there we go. Oh man, if this is my childhood in a sandwich, this would be it. I'm gonna give it a try. I can't not eat this anymore. Sometimes you eat something and you're just speechless, you know? I don't even know what I'm saying. I just want a big pot of this curry and just dip it in there, you know? That'd be so good. The thing I love about this sandwich is you get this like creamy, spicy curry flavor that's just like overall flavorful, but then it's balanced with the freshness of the cilantro, the cucumber, a little underlying heat from the slicey thin jalapeno, which makes the hugest difference. And then the pickles just like brighten it all up, and it just makes it all exciting with every bite. You bite into it, you hear the crunch, you get that creamy taste with the curry, and it's just like a constant party in your mouth of just like, you know, spicy, sweet, sour, and then you chew a little bit, and then it just reintroduces the flavors. It's a really cool thing when food makes you excited like that. If you like this kind of food, definitely think about liking and subscribing. Leave a comment down below because it helps the channel immensely. And I do have a hot sauce company, Baby Daddy's Hot Sauce, because I am Baby Daddy. But if you like the video here, definitely share it with your friends, and I hope that it got you to love food more. I'll see you all in the next video.